If you're a fan of tactical RPGs, you have an endless collection of games you can play. But one game that happens to be my favorite, I often never hear anyone talking about, and I'm here to talk about it today. I'm Sexy Jesus, and this is why I love Vandal Hearts. When I first played this game, I got it off my younger brother, and it did not have its original case, so I went into this game completely blind, had no idea what to expect, and I found it pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure this was probably the first tactical RPG I played. Really, like, just off the bat was the graphics alone. Like, just the way it looks, it kind of gives off this really old school, like, Dungeons and Dragons vibe that I really like. Even the sprites on the characters look really good. Like, I imagine if it was like a TV show, like an anime, it would look something along the lines of like Berserk or something. And just the sound effects and the music alone, like, one thing that attracts me to games is like the vibe it gives off. So if the sound effects and the music are like really rememberable, then I'm going to probably really enjoy the game. Unless the gameplay is terrible, then at that point, just no. As a kid, I kind of sucked at it because, well, I wasn't very good at strategy at all. I just kind of went in guns blazing and just kind of died instantly on the first mission every time. But over time, I eventually learned the proper ways to move your characters around, what characters are weak and strong against what. I learned that the soldiers are good against archers. Archers are good against flying enemies. Flying enemies are good against the soldiers. I learned that you have to keep Ash safe at all costs, otherwise it's game over. So with that segment, let's go ahead and move into the characters. The main character, Ash, he's your leader. He's a noble warrior. He's technically your king of the group. You want to keep him safe. He eventually does basically become your best character, but also a character you have to take into battle with caution. There's only like one mission I think he can die in, and you can still continue the mission. But other than that, you always have to keep him safe. Only move him into the fight when you know it's safe to do so, and he's not going to get mobbed by a bunch of enemies. It's honestly best to use the other characters to sort of surround him so the enemies can't even get to him. Then you have Clint. He's sort of the silent muscle, if you will. He's one of the tanks of the group. He hits hard, he can take a bit of damage. He's a pretty chill character. I like Clint quite a bit. And you have Diego, he's the archer. He's a little bit more of the comical character. You definitely want to keep him out of the fight for the most part because he's going to go down quickly. Just let him pick off soldiers and lightly armored enemies, and he's good to go. Once again, he doesn't have a lot of health, so just keep him safe. Those are the original three. You'll only start out with 3 characters, but eventually as you go through the game, you'll have, I want to say you have around 16 characters. You have Eleni, I believe is how you pronounce her name, but she's sort of the younger character, but ready to fight to go find her dad, and if I remember right, I'm pretty sure she has to beg the trio to go with them. And she basically drags along her mentor Huxley, the old wise teacher of Eleni. He's more of the grumpy character. Really doesn't want to be there, but he's just being dragged along for the ride. You have Kira, who's a secondary archer. She just kind of comes in to save the day at one point. She's really awesome. I like Kira a lot. You have Grog Drinkwater. He's an old drunk fisherman with a lot of issues. He's a good tank though. You eventually get another trio in Dolan, Amon, and Sara. So you get your first, like, real healer of the group in Sara. She comes in clutch. These 3, there's not a whole lot to really say about them. Dolan's sort of the older, wiser one of the 3. He's sort of the leader of them, the mentor, if you will. He's the knight. Amon, he's sort of the younger, ready and willing archer. I'll admit when I made the video, I kind of forgot about Amon a bit, because some characters don't get a lot of character development because you do meet some, like, a bit later in the game. He's one of those characters who's very negative, so every fight he just assumes they're all going to die, which is kind of funny, and I quite like that a lot about him. And Sara's the sweet cleric. There's always the sweet, innocent cleric in these games, which I guess it kind of comes with the territory of being a cleric. There's Zohar, the dimension-traveling legendary wizard. He's kind of dark and mysterious, but he's really cool. And you have Darius, an old friend of Huxley. He's an archer, but he also looks like he has sort of like an engineering background. The whole point of this group is to go and stop the evil empire, take down the Crimson Guard, and just save the kingdom from tyranny, if you will. It's a pretty basic story. If you listen to like the names in the story, it seems like just a D&D campaign. I really like the gameplay. Like I said, the graphics are really fun. The game actually gets pretty gruesome at times. Like, you wouldn't expect it because it's like little sprites, but every time like a character dies, you just see this big fountain of blood spray out. It's just overly done. I love it. Basically, the whole game, you're just on a straight path. You're not going to find any like side battles or anything. You just start from one battle, go to a town, buy some potions or armor or whatnot, go to the next battle. I think the game is probably like 15, 20 hours, if that. It's not a very long game, so it never really overstays its welcome. The fights will vary. Like, for the most part, it's just like eliminate all enemies, but sometimes it will be like defeat this enemy before he gets away, escape before everyone dies. Take it if you're able to actually just stay and fight. If you're strategic enough, you can win the fight and actually get some extra secret rewards, which is another thing the game never tells you. Like, during like special, like, we'll just say boss battles, if you use a character that has a relation to like the enemy character to get the final hit, then you'll get like a secret item. It has sort of like this nemesis system, and the game never tells you. For example, at one point you have to fight this dude's like evil brother, and if you use the good brother to defeat the bad brother, you'll get like some sort of weapon. The game never tells you at all, though. It will just appear as a reward. The only way I knew is from repeated playthroughs of the game. So keep that in mind in fights. Just use like any character that would be appropriate to get the final blow. When it comes down to just a straight gameplay, it's just a straight tactical RPG. You're moving your characters around the board, using different characters that are effective against the enemies. The magics are really cool in the game. They're really satisfying to pull off, especially like the big AoEs, like the salamander, for example. That's great. The music is really fun. I imagine the battle music will probably get tiring. I don't get tired of it. That song's been stuck in my head for years. I'll just find myself humming it, not even thinking about it sometimes. And just sort of like the main field theme is really nice. And I especially like just how the character sprites move with the music. Obviously, your characters will get stronger and level up with each bit of experience you get. You'll level up more based on like defeating more enemies, defeating enemies that are trying to run away. Like, just do your best to take out everything you can so you can just maximize your levels. Another cool part is the class system. I want to say it's like level 10 and 20. Your characters can advance in their classes, and this sort of gives you, opposed to Ash, you get two options. Like, for example, Clint can go up to be a full-on, like, knight, where he's got some light armor, he's got a nice sword, he's quick, he'll be quick on the battlefield, so he'll have a lot of movement. Or you can switch him to more of a tanky knight, so he'll have, like, super heavy armor, he'll be wielding a battle axe, he'll be ultra slow, but he can take a hit and he can do a ton of damage. And you can do that for every character, so you get a lot of options, so it does increase the replayability quite a bit. Like, say, Eleni starts out as a wizard, but you could turn her into a monk. The same with Huxley. So you could just keep advancing her a wizard to make her like ultra powerful in spells, or turn her into a monk and she'll be more of like a melee fighter who can also cast spells. Your archers, you can keep them focusing on range, and eventually they'll have like crossbows and eventually could just snipe someone from all the way across the map. Or you could set them to spearmen that have mechanical wings and they can fly around the map, so they'll have a ton of movement speed and can do a ton of damage to more lightly armored enemies. But they don't have a lot of health, so you have to make sure you get the kill and run. Like I said, Ash is just stuck on his one path. He just continues going up like the all-rounder. He can do pretty much anything. Though he does have a third transformation that you can only get if you unlock like all the secret chests in the game, which I have never done, but that transformation is supposed to be like overpowered, so I really want to try that sometime. Speaking of the chests, you will find different things on the battlefield. Like, I'm pretty sure you have to find the keys to get the chests. You also find different items to use against enemies. Like, you can kick a rock down a hill to hit a bunch of enemies for extra damage. The game at least gives you some options to be a bit more creative opposed to just running in and hitting them. I'm sure someone will be like, well, actually, this game is a lot better. It has a lot more things you can do. I'm sure there is. This was made before Final Fantasy Tactics, so I'm sure I've never played Final Fantasy Tactics, but I'm sure that game is probably a lot better when it comes to like things you can actually do. I don't know. I just really like this game. I'm sure it's probably relatively basic, but it's pretty good. There's 2 more games in the series. Vandal Hearts 2, which I've never played, but I hear it's hot garbage. And also the story has nothing to do with the first game, so that also kind of sucks. I would much rather just see at least some of these characters on a new adventure. Then you have Flames of Judgment, which was the prequel to the first game. It was made in 2010, so they try to bring the series back, but I played the demo on Xbox Arcade, and let me tell you, I was not impressed at all. I uninstalled it instantly and didn't want to have anything to do with it. And looking back on the trailer now, it looks like a mobile game. So yeah, it's pretty god-awful. And also was doing like 3D models. I feel like with these games, it fits better with like a 2D graphics. It just doesn't look right when it's like little mini 3D characters. It's just weird. I would much rather them do either a direct sequel to this one or like just a straight remaster would be appreciated. That would be nice, which I think is possible. I'm pretty sure it's Konami who owns it, so maybe you could throw this on Game Pass. I feel like it would do all right. The only issue, I don't think there's much interest because I literally never see anyone talk about this game at all. So that's why I definitely recommend it. I feel like even if you've never played a tactical RPG, this would probably be a good starting point. I mean, it's probably relatively simple enough to learn. As a kid, like I said, I definitely have trouble with it. I remember being in like the poison fields for like God knows how long because I was just stuck forever. I definitely do like games like this. Like, you're still thinking, and it still requires you to put some thought into what you're doing, but it's still a pretty chill experience. I think I pretty much said everything I need to say. It's a fun, just simple tactical RPG. If you play the game, make sure you say in the comments like your favorite level, your favorite character, your favorite spell, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. Go right ahead, and I'll make sure to leave you on red. If you just never played this game before and you just watched it out of curiosity, then yeah, go play it. It's fun. If you like that old school D&D vibe. So I'll end it here. Till the next video, guys. I'll see you. Yeah.